All right, so we're diving into another listener request, and this one, wow, this one's got all the makings of a true crime thriller. Briar Ridge, 1998. Buckle up, because this deep dive is going to take us through some twists and turns.
Small towns, they often have this facade of peace and quiet, but beneath the surface, sometimes there are secrets lurking, secrets darker than anyone could imagine.
And that's what makes this case, the disappearance of Sarah Lawson, so unsettling. Imagine, 24 years old, working as a waitress at the local diner, just living her life, and then, poof, gone, vanished.
It's like the earth just swallowed her whole. At least that's what everyone in Briar Ridge thought, especially when the authorities went to her apartment.
And found nothing, right?
Well, not exactly nothing. Sheriff Leonard Bryce, he was the first on the scene. No forced entry, no signs of a struggle. Her apartment was eerily undisturbed, except...
There was something. Something about a rose on her bed.
That's right, a single red rose, perfectly placed right there on her pillow, as if whoever took her wanted to leave their own twisted calling card. And if that wasn't enough, the faint scent of gasoline hung in the air.
Okay, see, that's where things go from strange to downright creepy. Almost like a warning or a threat, even. Did the investigators ever find a connection between Sarah and roses, or gasoline, for that matter?
And that's the thing, this detail, it just deepens the mystery. Nobody, not her friends, not her family, nobody could recall Sarah ever mentioning anything about roses. And gasoline, it just seems so out of place, so deliberate.
Deliberate and terrifying. So we have a staged apartment, a missing woman, and the lingering scent of gasoline. What happened to Sarah Lawson?
Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, there's something else you should know about Sarah, something her coworkers revealed that paints a troubling picture of her final days leading up to her disappearance.
Oh, really? What was it?
They described her as withdrawn, anxious, constantly looking over her shoulder, as if she knew something terrible was about to happen.
Oh, wow. So she may have been living in fear even before she disappeared. Did she ever report anything to the police? Was she seeing anyone suspicious?
That's the strange part. The police, they found nothing in her life that would suggest she was involved in anything dangerous or illegal.
So we have a missing young woman, a scene that's more staged than chaotic.
Yeah.
And this lingering scent of gasoline. What does it all mean? It's like whoever was behind her disappearance wanted everyone to know something was wrong. But then why go through the trouble of staging the apartment? Why not just make it look like she was never there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And trust me, it's one that has haunted investigators for years. See, 2 weeks after Sarah vanished, a group of hikers, they stumbled upon something horrifying in the woods outside Briar Ridge. Sarah's body.
God, that's awful. The woods. Was there any connection to her? I mean, was it a place she was known to go hiking or anything?
Not at all. This area, it was miles from her apartment, completely off the grid. And if finding her body wasn't chilling enough, the state she was in, well, it just amplified the mystery.
This is where the missing hands come in, right? I have to admit, reading that detail sent chills down my spine.
You and everyone else who's ever heard about this case, see, it wasn't a case of animal interference, no. This was precise, deliberate. Someone had gone to great lengths to remove her hands.
Okay, that's just barbaric. Why? I mean, what could be the motive for something so gruesome?
We reached out to Dr. Linda Foster, a retired FBI profiler, to get her expert opinion on this very question. She's worked on countless cases with similar disturbing elements.
And what did she have to say about the missing hands?
Well, Dr. Foster believes it goes beyond simple identification. It's symbolic, you see, a way for the perpetrator to exert control over Sarah, even in death. No hands, no fingerprints, no way to fight back.
It's like they wanted to erase her identity completely to make sure she could never tell her story.
Precisely. It points to a level of premeditation and, dare I say, ritualistic violence that is deeply unsettling. And the question that haunts everyone is, what kind of person could do something like this?
You know, it's like taking away someone's identity, their ability to leave their mark on the world, even in death. It's just, I don't even know. But Dr. Foster, does she have any opinions about the gasoline? Was that another part of this control thing, maybe an attempt to throw off the investigation?
That's a very astute observation, and while it's impossible to say for certain, it's definitely a strong possibility. The gasoline, the rose, the missing hands, these were deliberate acts, messages carefully crafted to instill fear and uncertainty. But the question is, who were these messages for? It's a question that has haunted investigators for years, and it's one that takes an even stranger turn when you consider what a local historian uncovered years later.
Oh, okay, now you've really got my attention. What did they find?
So this historian, Tim Pearson, he was researching the history of Briar Ridge, poring over old journals and archives. And as he dug deeper into the town's past, he stumbled upon something remarkable. A journal dating back to the early 1900s, filled with chilling entries that seemed to eerily mirror the details of Sarah Lawson's case.
Wait, are you serious? Are we talking another missing person case? In Briar Ridge?
You're getting ahead of me, but yes. This journal, it was filled with accounts of strange occurrences in Briar Ridge, disappearances, an overwhelming sense of dread. And get this, it even mentioned missing hands.
Okay, now that is just too creepy to be a coincidence. Who wrote this journal, and what else did it say?
Unfortunately, the author's identity remains a mystery. We only have the initials ED. But the entries, they paint a picture of someone deeply afraid, someone convinced that something sinister was at play in Briar Ridge. And the most chilling detail, an entry dated October 19th, 1908, almost exactly 90 years to the day before Sarah Lawson disappeared.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What did it say?
It reads, "The hands, they take the hands, the forest demands a sacrifice. I saw it again. Red rose on the bed. It's always the hands."
Chills. Literal chills. So what are we to make of this? Are we talking about some sort of copycat crime inspired by events a century old? Or could there be something more, something darker at play in Briar Ridge?
It's a question that has plagued investigators and locals alike. Some dismiss the journal as mere coincidence, a spooky story from a bygone era. But others, they believe it points to something far more sinister, something that defies rational explanation.
Like, what, a curse? A vengeful spirit? I have to admit, this whole thing has me a little spooked.
It's hard to say for sure, but what we do know is that the mystery of Sarah Lawson remains unsolved. Despite years of investigation, countless theories, no one has ever been brought to justice for her murder.
So no answers, no closure. Just a town left grappling with the shadow of this unsolved mystery.
And a single red rose placed on Sarah Lawson's grave every year. A reminder that some stories, they don't have neat and tidy endings. They linger like whispers in the wind, asking us to listen closely, to consider the possibility that some secrets are best left buried.
This deep dive has taken us through a labyrinth of unsettling clues, and honestly, I'm left with more questions than answers. Was Sarah Lawson's fate intertwined with the chilling events described in that old journal? Or was her disappearance a tragic, isolated incident? We may never know for sure. But one thing is certain. The story of Sarah Lawson, the red rose, and the missing hands will continue to captivate and unsettle, reminding us that sometimes the most disturbing mysteries are those that remain unsolved.